I'm calling to order the, what are we doing? The Warren County Work Session of the Planning Commission of July, what's today? I don't even know what the day is. 10th. July 10th, 2019.
It's used for her Hughes' birthday.
I've been a long day. So anyways, I'm calling it to order. I'm gonna hand it over to Ms. Logan, so roll.
So I thought we could start with chapter 3, which is natural resources. And of course, last year we did the citizen survey and visioning, and that completed earlier this year. And so now we're kind of kicking off going chapter through chapter. And the natural resources chapter I included in the back in your packets. We met as planning staff yesterday and kind of went over the maps will need to be updated. I didn't include the maps. The maps will need to be updated, and we're going to add some more additional maps for, there's not a lot in here that touches on our conservation easement program, and that's a big program that we have. In the Rockland Historic District and our Agricultural and Forestal District, so a lot of that actually wasn't included, but we also want to go through and kind of, it's very wordy, so kind of go through each section and take out what doesn't need to be in there. Because this is more for information for residents or businesses moving here, or businesses, and or if people wanting to move into the county. So a lot of this is just quite wordy. So, and it's for it's going to be a guide for the board of supervisors and the planning commission. So, so I think that we kind of have our staff. We know what we need to go through, and we want to add. But I thought the planning commission, if you've read through and have any comments about things you would like to see added to this section, I also want to go through the goals and objectives. And then there's the implementation kind of section at the end. And then at the very end, after we go through all the chapters, there's the chapter 8, which is the implementation of the entire plan, and it kind of sets a schedule for implementing the different goals and objectives. We'll do that last. Did everybody participate in the update last time? I can't remember. Hugh, is this your first time? No. So 2013 is when we...
Yeah, I've been through this one.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought everybody.
I don't remember doing chapter by chapter, like, it seemed like we did like 3 chapters at a time or something.
Ralph, I think you started when Tom said, wait, what did you?
No, I started when Doug Rosen moved
In
in.
2014 when you came?
Yeah,
So
I
you
don't
might
think
have
I
been
was out
after
there.
the
I don't, I don't think he was here.
Okay, so,
That's why it went so smooth.
Joe wasn't here, that's it.
Yeah,
the demographic section, and when we get all the new census information, and that's gonna be after this is over, but then we'll have to include all that, so we'll have to come back. So we're not gonna be able to even update a lot of that.
Some of the
So I have
demographics.
like 2 months on that. Well, we're gonna fly through that. So. But there's different demographic information throughout. In the economic development chapter, there's a lot of information, and we're just kind of updating what we know from the websites that we know. But it would be good to get the census information and kind of update all of it. Do you have any questions?
Roll.
We talked about as staff also contacting, and Kevin's been working to just contact like the George Washington National Forest and Michigan National Park and the Cedar Creek Battlefield Foundation and Virginia Outdoors Plan through DCR and the different agencies that we know of that kind of abut us that have their own plans, and at least referencing their plans in here. Because when we apply for grants, if the project or whatever we're applying for a grant for is mentioned in our comprehensive plan as well as other plans, I mean, we get more points for that. So at least referencing and looking at the plans of different things that surround us, especially as far as natural resources. And any planning staff, do y'all have anything else?
Floodplain section, we'll probably pare it down a little bit, maybe not be so technical and detailed, but still provide a good overview. We'll replace, some of the language. Definitely will replace the illustration. I think throughout the chapter we'll have some updated photos also. As we're out in the field, trying to get some photos, especially for this section. You should be able to get some nice ones. So we'll update those also.
Very good.
Yeah, last time around we reformatted the whole plan.
Much nicer.
We thought so.
Much nicer than
we-
Better
before.
presentation,
Oh,
yeah.
We do it all,
Better
and we do it all
Yeah,
in the department.
When I
So.
went to class, they liked our old plan, but it was
Yeah.
something, it was something to be.
It was the implementation,
It was
remember?
the
implementation.
And that's,
That's right.
That was the only the
when
guy
you
that
came
gave the
back-
class.
When you came
Yeah.
back, we went and did that separately.
Yeah, that was the only thing he said, man, it's a great plan, it's got all this color stuff and maps and charts and yada yada. He said, where's your implementation at? I said, I don't know, I just started, buddy.
Yeah, the maps
Yeah.
will start to look a whole lot better
And
this
so,
time around
yeah.
too, I think.
Good.
Yeah,
We'll
and we
start
have the
seeing that.
implementation, but I don't have it in the bound copy. We actually only have one bound copy, it's all on the website, so. But we did do that after you came back to that class,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah. Well, good.
That's my fault.
I thought maybe if we just go through the goals and objectives, and if you all want to scratch any of them or reword them at all. A lot of times throughout the comprehensive plan, you'll see where the chapters are kind of broken up into sections, and then there's different goals and objectives for each section, but in this chapter, we have just all the text, and then the goals and objectives are at the end, so. There you go. So there's kind of a lot of objectives. I don't know, did everybody see that? I put them up there.
Oh, good.
You have them in the back.
I got a copy of it too.
Yeah.
As long as you click through it.
And the main goal is just very broad, to preserve and improve the environmental quality of Warren County through measures which protect natural resources and environmentally sensitive air, lands, and waters.
That's,
The goal is broad.
I was gonna say it's broad, but yes, that's an overall for the county.
Yeah, and then, so the objectives, we have institute measures to protect the quality of surface waters within the county, including the Shenandoah River's North and South Forks, creeks, runs, dams, and smaller tributaries, as well as watershed and associated tributaries which eventually drain into the environmentally sensitive Potomac River and the Chesapeake Bay. So we've done a lot probably since this last plan was updated through the Regional Commission for the Chesapeake Bay Act. The different plans that we have to do as a locality and a region for that. So probably I'm going to include some of that in here because there's not a lot of talk about that.
Would that be a separate objective that include, as far as the Chesapeake Bay Act and some of that information? Or would that just be it?
I don't know. One of the things is to monitor and make sure the stormwater facilities are maintained. You can include that as a
Those are county facilities. When you say stormwater facilities are maintained, are they county facilities or
Well, I
are
think we
they
need to
private
make sure that the
facilities?
private ones are being.
Well, you gotta differentiate between county and all.
Yeah.
All would cover everything, of course, but you gotta
Yeah,
differentiate
because I know,
between
and we need to make sure that the
public
larger ones.
facilities
Yeah.
and private
Mhm.
facilities. Whatever you're trying to monitor, you gotta make sure you cover that, if that makes sense. So, otherwise, if it's just stormwater facilities, and it's like, oh, well, who owns it?
Yeah.
Now you got another question, which Mr. Whitten has to deal with all that
Yeah, there's been a
garbage.
lot of DEQ
And he doesn't want to deal with that, I'm
requirements.
sure, so.
Yeah, all of the, I mean,
So
the
we gotta
newer
define it now.
DEQ, right, all the newer DEQ requirements have come down since
Oh, yeah.
we last approved
Yes.
this.
We opted out so that we're using the state.
Yeah.
Well, the new
We're not
permit
out
cycle
now.
started July 1st for the state, so July 1st of this, like July 1st the other week, the other day, it started for the new permit cycle, so now we're on a new 5-year permit cycle, so, with DEQ,
So
so.
we should reference in there that we're opt-out locality now. We're not MS4 locality, so the rules are
Yeah.
different.
We have a stormwater section, so
Right.
we can talk
Oh, that's
about
right, we
that.
did, didn't
That's
we?
But
another,
it's-
that's another section, but all
Well,
I'm
no,
saying
it's in
is,
this chapter though.
all I'm saying is don't corner ourselves in as a county. Don't corner ourselves into assuming it's a county facility versus a private facility. We need to make
Yeah.
sure whoever reads this, we gotta make sure they understand it's if it's a public facility, it means it's county owned and maintained, and the county takes care of it. And then after that, it's all private sector. And they have to deal with DEQ at that point, so. That's all I'm saying, so.
So we could probably write something about that where we've opted out of handling the stormwater programs locally.
I just want to make sure we're not cornering ourselves to say we're doing everything, you know what I mean? And somebody comes back and says, well, you said you did this, and you did this, So, that's all I'm saying.
We're talking about the upgrades to the town wastewater plant.
We talked about that, yeah, adding that in the section,
You know,
in the text.
I never really thought about it like this, but you said this was a website for like new business and people moving in, so we're kind of advertising or selling,
Sure.
selling. I was just curious if it's a good number, it would be worth mentioning if you're trying to sell something to somebody. I just feel like, I don't know the numbers, but I just feel like Warren County has to have a higher percentage of parkland than most of our surrounding counties, because we're a small county, if you do it percentage in land mass. And then you do Skyline Drive, George Washington and Forest, and you get state parks, they're big, especially Skyline Drive is such a big percentage of our county.
You're throwing in federal lands.
Yeah, well, it's county, it's a resource
It's
for
part
our
of the county,
county,
it's part of
yeah.
the county,
Yeah,
but you're
so-
throwing in federal.
So-
It's in here.
We talked
It is in there?
about, so in
She's
chapter,
I must have known.
in the community facilities chapter, there's a whole parks and recreation chapter. And it's really focused on county-owned facilities, but we talked about as staff making sure we add all the amenities that we have. In the natural resources section, we do want to make sure that we talk about, Indiana State Park and general
I
natural
thought the percentages were in here. I thought I read that.
Yeah.
It's
They're
somewhere.
in
They're in-
almost the very
It's
front.
the page 2,
It's,
Yeah.
well, it's there.
but it's,
She talks
because
about
there's
the
so
county,
many
what's private.
percentages.
Yeah.
And this, there's a lot of wording.
I mean, certainly.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I didn't read every
I mean,
word.
there's a lot of wording, and there's a lot of percentages.
It may be that we could just, at the very least, put acreage amounts for those federal and state parklands.
Federal,
Well, it's
state,
got
county.
percentages or what.
How much parkland,
Yeah.
percentage of our county is
Because
parkland,
that's
that's a
definitely
good
a natural
advertising point
resource.
for a natural resource.
Sure.
Absolutely is. And, the main goal, the comprehensive plan is obviously it's a policy guide for the planning commission on what to do. But if someone, is looking to move here, they're gonna look at the plan for the county, the 15, 20-year plan. So I think it's good to definitely showcase what is in the county. And we do that, but it is very wordy.
Right.
We could probably do that in a different way.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine.
Make it easier to read.
Yeah, that's a goal.
So a lot of times when we're doing conservation easements, people for their baseline plan will use their, writes a plan in their baseline report.
Yeah,
Use the language, which is helpful, so,
Mhm.
especially this section.
and that we definitely should talk more about, because we have about 13,000 acres in conservation easement, and the county holds about 3,500, so, and that's not really talked about.
So you could probably list them all, would be nice, and the acreage.
Yeah, and have a map.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I've already said, when you said map, the first thing I thought of was a map would be a good
Yeah,
graphic.
We probably added 5
Show
for the past
everything.
6 years of that.
yeah.
We had that later.
Yeah.
We probably do somewhere. It
No,
may
we
not be this chapter, but it may be in
We
there.
actually, it's not in the plan, I don't know.
Yeah.
It should be in this chapter, so.
Well, I'll probably
We
say,
have
it
one,
sounds like it
it's
is,
just not
but,
in the plan.
all right.
Yeah, I think it's the next.
That would be a good graphic to add.
Right.
Yeah, that one's
One that I thought on too, I don't know if it should be in this chapter or more into stormwater management, but these bioretention basins now where water goes into and you have, for lack of a better term, magic mulch that filters out the nitrogen so that what goes downstream. Every so often, those things need to be maintained and that bioretention mix changed.
Yep.
I'd like to see something in here, you know, for that.
They require, DEQ requires annual maintenance on those.
Yes,
But does the county do
But-
that? That is a DEQ.
Well, that's the issue.
that's the issue. If it's within a VDOT right of way,
There you go.
VDOT has to do it.
okay.
But
But something
if it's
like
a
Lee
private, like, if it's a
Yeah.
private thing, like Lee Trun, if that's in the public right, if those filters are in the public right of way, VDOT should have to take care of those
Right.
filters.
There's,
And do every year, do the maintenance, do the mulch, I know.
right, there's a bunch of them out at
There's a whole
Riverton
bunch.
Commons too.
You don't build
Those
them
don't
in
look
there
like they've
and they're
ever been
all the way.
touched.
But on a private facility,
But is
or
that
private
county's
property,
responsibility or is it?
It should, it'd be the county's
It's-
responsibility to
No,
force them to
it's-
do it.
Well,
it's, no, it's DEQ.
they have an agreement with
DEQ, I was
DEQ.
gonna say
They
it's
do an
DEQ.
agreement when they
Yeah.
install it.
It's not us, it's
Yeah.
I
not the
think that
county.
the
Yeah, my
county
point
needs
being,
to
though-
track which ones are in the county.
See,
For
DEQ,
DEQ.
Yeah.
because Warren County
We are opted
defaults
out
and
of
goes,
the,
gets out of the system, DEQ is now the
They were the
enforcer,
yeah.
enforcer,
Yeah.
right word.
Yeah.
The enforcer.
Yeah.
DEQ is now the people that have to enforce their requirements, state requirements
make
on them. And so
whoever
now,
owns
it's now a DEQ thing, the county is
It's
not
probably
all
so
anymore.
understaffed.
All
they don't really
David
enforce
Beaton
it.
has to do is approve the ENS plans and you're done.
Yeah.
And that's it. After that, it's all DEQ.
Yeah.
So it's a state thing first, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah, my point being, it
But
should
my
be
point
addressed
being
in the
is,
comp
it'd be
plan.
nice to have us track, at least track them to an extent and make sure they're getting done, because I don't know if DEQ does that or not.
It
Because they're overloaded
crack
to an
to
extent
them.
too.
Yeah, as I said, Riverton
That's
Commons
the other
doesn't look
thing.
like it's been touched.
It ain't been touching. I know what you're saying. I know where you're getting at, so.
I know,
I
they have
agree.
trash in them.
Exactly,
That's
and
it.
they need to be maintained, they gotta get cleaned
Yeah.
out, remulched, or,
Yeah.
if something dies, planting dies, you gotta
Yeah.
replant, blah,
Yeah.
blah,
And
blah.
that'll help
usually, if we
So-
see
That'll
it,
help you if you have a
we
bunch of
contact the
those
shopping
filteros.
center around.
Exactly, oh, yeah, I agree.
That's a tree in a concrete box.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Every year you trim back the roots and every other year you replace the
Place a
tree.
tree, exactly, yeah, that's all they are, so.
And the money's not in selling the Filterra, the money's in the maintenance.
Yeah,
Right.
the maintenance is a big idea, so.
And they
big-
charge
big deal.
accordingly.
So, I know the county doesn't track maintenance on private properties because it's a
Mhm.
DEQ thing, but it'd be nice if we
Yeah.
at least maybe looked out, quote unquote, looked out for it, maybe.
I'm saying we should
So-
promote the maintenance, I'm not saying
Makes
do
sense.
it.
We inventory and we review the sites
Well, I
to
know.
maybe.
Well, I'm trying not to
I
make-
mean, if we see that the
Well,
Well,
landscape
the
is
issue is, I'm
dead
trying not to
and
make
there's
more work
trash
for the
and
county
That's
either.
right.
then we do notify the
Oh,
property.
that's the other,
I
that's the
was
other
basically saying it should be,
It's
you
a-
Yeah,
know,
we
mentioned
can-
in
we
the
can
comp
do
It's a
plan.
give and take.
I mean, you know.
Well, it's a give and take thing. I'm not trying to make more work for folks in the county, because, everybody's busy, but but DEQ is the responsible party, period.
Maybe they can be notified if they're not, if they're missing
And after
something.
that, that's
Well,
where it
Karen
goes.
says that they
We
do
can-
that when they see that. When they
Maybe
see
we can look at it and just, email DEQ and say, hey, here's what we're seeing in our county, can you all look into this?
Get some language in the comp plan.
And let it go.
That's all I'm saying.
But
I'm
it's not-
getting
At the very least, put language in the comp plan.
It's not a county responsibility per se, it's a DEQ thing, but maybe we can kind of quote unquote help DEQ, if that makes sense, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And just recommend, hey, you might want to come out and take a look at this.
Maybe
We're noticing something that's being neglected, you might want to come out and look at
I
it.
think what we can do is get the anti-litter council to have an adopted stormwater
There we go,
management.
something that doesn't, well, what I'm after is, I'm not trying to put more burden on the
I'm
county,
sure the private property owners would love
you know?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
I don't
just
think so.
a complaint.
No, I get it. No, it's a,
Yeah.
I don't wanna put burden on the county, but at the same time, I understand what you're saying, and it's like, yeah, somebody's gotta be, we're local, so we see it, so we understand it, and I get that too, so it's like, how
Yeah,
do
we
you,
can include some language.
How do we-
I got
how
it.
do we make it work?
Thank you.
So then, that was objective A. B, protect and conserve fragile groundwater resources within the county's unique hydrology, i.e. karst terrain and thin soils, including the specific recommendations from the County Cedarville Enterprise Zone karst study and the USGS hydrogeology and groundwater availability study. So those are studies the county did back in really the mid-2000s. The karst study showed in the Route 345-22 corridor where the karst land is and where it was draining to. And then there's different recommendations when industries do develop for their stormwater, more better practices for those facilities that they incorporate each time.
Limestone.
Okay, it goes back to DEQ again. That's the whole point is.
Well, but we have those studies, so we wanted to reference those studies,
Yeah,
but I don't think.
which
the
I get,
Yeah.
but anytime anybody does anything in cars, it's back to stuff, because the county has defaulted back to DEQ, now we go back to DEQ for everything, so stormwater wise, that's all I'm saying.
So we can include just
I'm all for
objective
it.
about working with DEQ.
No, I'm all for doing it.
Just a general, yeah.
I'm all for it, I'm just saying I don't think there's anybody in the county, we can put it in the comp plan, which is fine, and I agree. And I agree with that, I put it in.
This-
But all I'm saying is that
This-
DEQ has the final say eventually.
The
so.
study was good because it mapped the karst areas.
Sure.
And it showed that the ground, any contamination, wasn't
Sure.
going towards the
No, I agree.
residential.
I'm on board 1,000%. I'm just saying that we put it in the comp plan, but ultimately it's DEQ that governs what we do. That's all I'm saying. So, but I'm 1,000% for it. So yeah, I got no problem.
C is evaluate existing problems relating to failing septic systems and well water contamination. That's very vague.
Yeah. How do you do that?
I think because at one,
Has to do it.
yeah, and the next ones require regular septic pump out using state recommendations and guidelines, which the health department does maintenance now annually on
Right.
alternative. Do they
Right.
for conventional?
Nothing on the
No.
conventional yet.
Right.
It's coming, maybe.
If they work right, you should.
You're still gonna have tank pump once in a while.
And then you gotta.
Once in a
Three
blue.
to 5 years.
So the problem is
3 to 5
the health department doesn't track that.
Where, how well it's
They'll
worked.
track conventional,
Yeah.
non-conventional, but they're not tracking conventional.
Conventional, yeah.
So we thought about just adding, kind of combining
Those
C, D, and
together.
J, because J is require annual maintenance of alternative septic systems, and this was before
I
the
think that
health
should be
department
one.
started.
Prior to the,
One objective.
So we
Yeah.
thought we would combine those objectives
Yeah.
and then just say
I
work
agree.
with the health department
right.
with anything they would need from us.
I agree with that.
When people come to the county, does health department give them pamphlets or yoga pamphlets on how to maintain alternative or conventional systems?
I was gonna say.
Alternative, they have a permit, like maintenance agreement.
Go down there and ask, tell them you got one, and see if they give you a good extra.
Well, they get one, they come with their permits.
Because I think that's the
but
big
I don't
issue is
know.
people come from the city and don't know.
That's-
that's
an engineer.
Here.
Yeah, yeah, if you're a new
Monitor the
homeowner and there's already a system,
Inspections and
you're
yearly
not.
maintenance.
And maybe
Is
the
that
new
monitored
homeowner
by
might
anybody?
know,
State.
then
I'm saying
the
maybe that
third
should be
owner.
the goal is
Enforcement
to
Enforcement is very
how
weak
to
on it.
inform people better, like through a
Just since
website
this
or
July.
through our welcome to Warren County pamphlet about
No, I think that's a good idea.
how you
I have
should
some,
maintain.
I have
it.
some
I've
scans
got an
in
alternate
April.
system.
It has to do, it's very basic, it has to do with septic system,
Trying to
basically.
push
You'd be amazed how many people come to Blue Mountain Alabama and think they have city water.
And
What
then-
I've heard,
Yeah.
you correct me if I'm
Work on
wrong, it's about a
communication,
third of the septic
communication,
systems, the
community
alternatives
outreach
that
for-
are out there.
or maybe, okay.
monitored
Well,
yearly.
the thing is, the realtors
Maintained.
don't have to
The
tell.
newer
But the state's
ones, they're
doing a
getting more
huge push
internal
right now.
regulations.
They're doing
Now,
a state's
listen,
doing a huge
There's
push
not a
right
state
now
law
to
that
get
says you
everybody.
have to have it
On
pumped out
alternatives.
Yep.
prior
Yeah.
to transfer of
To
ownership.
get them up to speed, so, and that affects the farmers big time.
Big time.
I
Your
know what
inspector, if you get
I
a
know
home
where you're
inspector,
getting at
they
because
probably
I'm not
ask
sure
for
they're
it.
being maintained.
If your home inspector looks at it and it's full.
At Greenway, we do
Is there
a
a
bunch.
law?
I tell
Yes,
you,
they did.
They do a ton.
He needs some help
Jeremy
too,
does,
by the way.
yeah.
if I get a call,
But,
you know.
I ain't doing it.
But when they
anyway.
move in, they're pumping it out.
We got a ton
Yeah,
of
have
Greenway
pumped
right
out
now
as a
that
part
we
of
do,
the
and
contract.
it's an annual thing, and that's what we do, so it's
There's
just.
a couple new systems out now that, they won't even release the materials to me until it's a 2-year maintenance agreement signed.
Until you, yeah, for installation,
For
they
the
won't even
multi-
give it to you.
Yeah, the multi-place like that, the Vantex is like that too.
Vantex too, yeah.
So they'll start out right, but then after those contracts
After
run
2
out,
years.
who's making?
That's what I'm.
Well, the
that was
state-
my point.
They
Well, the
passed a
state
law,
does.
what's it been, 5 years ago, that said civil penalties may apply.
Yeah.
There have been none issued. But just this last July, the health department is moving away from doing any soil work themselves. They've reserved the right to. And they said the only reason why they reserve the right to still do some soil work is mainly for some poverty-stricken counties in the south.
Yeah,
And then, people can only do
but
so
around
much.
here, they won't. Yeah.
Hey, we'll write you a permit because this is a voluntary upgrade, that maybe they've got a little substandard sanitation condition. And the health department can step in and say, hey, if you comply, we'll write the permit. You don't need to hire, for a call saving.
Sure.
But in general now, the other thing that they're doing, since July, every new system that is put in, besides either Greenway or Scott coming out, or the private soil guy, I have to notify the health department. And because they're understaffed, the code says they're supposed to come look at all of them. But, Walter's down there by himself, literally.
I
right
probably
now.
say he didn't got time.
So is what we're doing now is I'm supposed to give him 48 hours notice. And if he's coming, he lets me know. But he told me, he said, in other words, I get a system opened up, and it's calling for rain, and I'll give him the notice like, hey, Walter, you need to come on. I can't. But and then from a call standpoint too, I can't wait a day.
Right.
I can't logistically move back in. It's too expensive. Somebody'd have to pay for it, or I'd go bankrupt. So for call standpoints and this time savings, he said like I could get a rabies call. Sorry,
He's gone. Yeah.
He's gone. I gotta go.
He's gone.
He said, but rather than hold the work up, he said, I'll give you time. If I don't show, try to call me, give me a little window, but don't let it stop your job because they do not have the staff. Now Loudon, their county,
A little bigger.
subsidizes their health department.
Right.
They got 23 sanitarians down there last time I was
Wow.
down there. And they come forever. They've done it before it was code.
Well, they did, I was about to say, they did it.
Yeah,
10 years ago, they were doing.
Oh, yeah, if I do a
Wow.
system down there, engineer comes out, inspects it, and the health department, I have to do whatever I did.
Oh, yeah.
If I can't get them there at the same time, I literally have to do the same inspection twice, which is a little frustrating, but,
It is, yeah.
but they're starting to do it here now, and that's a state thing. Frederick County's, we're getting about
They're
half
supposed
of,
to do it.
well, he's getting about half of mine. I don't know if he's getting half of the whole county or not, but he's getting about half of mine. And then I did one in Frederick. When I called them, they waived it because they were busy, and they had some people out on vacation. So they'll reserve the right to waive them. But it's getting better. They are coming, so you get a double check. Prince William does it the same way. Have done it for years too. They got a separate line you call in, but it's kind of like the honesty policy. You never know for sure whether they're going to come or not. So you have to be prepared for them to come.
If and when, yeah.
Yeah, so that, and it's kind of, that's what I told Walter, we use that model, and we talked to Jim Davis about it here to get that done, but he's getting about half of them by himself, and that's pretty darn good.
That's on the initial install. But my point
The
is,
maintenance side.
He ain't
it's
got
the
that.
maintenance side.
Could be 10 years down the road.
Right.
And you don't know if it's being
Because-
maintained. The state requires it,
But they have no.
but you don't know if it's being maintained.
It's coming, they say it's coming, whatever that means.
Because my
And that's a whole
concern
county
is,
thing. That's rolls back
some
into
guy
this.
moves in there and you get them all set
Yeah, the
up,
property sells and,
and
yeah.
whatever happens with the property, then someone either doesn't maintain it on purpose or through ignorance doesn't maintain it, and then it's a problem when that fails. So,
Doug's got the best story of
My
that.
daughter ran into that in Fluvanna County. I mean, there were diapers down in an alternate system.
Oh, Doug's got the best story. He said some people, I think it was Skyline Estates, moved in, and their sewer backed up in house, tank or something needed pumping or whatever. They were trying to call the municipality that their sewer was stopped up, and they lived in Skyline Estates, so they started town front row. And they kept calling different people and getting passed around. And finally, Doug was like, "Ho, this is, you've got to, they could not comprehend that they had their own sewage treatment and their own water. They literally thought somebody should come up there and it was a main sewer line like a town. Oh, so yeah, you're right. People move in, they don't know.
That's right.
Yeah, so we thought about putting an objective about, either including something on our website or some kind of just, one sheet about.
It might be worth it. Because somebody did move in this town or this county.
Yeah, and I think that
I've
probably
dealt with
happens
clients
more
that
than we
had no
know.
clue about
All
water
the
and
time.
sewer and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I've done that
The
over
first
years, so
owner
whatever.
might
All I'm
understand the
saying
system,
is-
but the second and third owner have no idea.
Right.
Exactly, so
They
all
might
I'm
not
saying is how
get
do
the
we roll
information.
that into
No, I think
everything we
can-
just said,
can
how
put
do
an
we roll it back
objective
into the
about education.
and
Hopefully the state will get it in gear here and there too, and
Yeah.
they'll get some,
They're the enforcers.
they should get some.
the state enforces, but we need to have something
But it'd
in
be
the comp
good
plan
to,
that
yeah.
says,
Supporting it or something.
because the comp plan's a public document, so
And even, distributing the information to the realtors or to.
or whatever,
building
whoever,
inspectors to hand out.
On,
Forms could add it to the whole
Ed
package.
talks about educate, on him,
We might have something in there. In fact,
Education.
I will write a note to myself on that.
part to that.
Because you're a
Yes,
hot,
Andrew.
hot area for it.
Yeah, no, and we do provide a homeowner pack.
I didn't know that.
We make a lot of money on that too. It's like $50 and
Somebody sells it.
it ends up paying for our staff there.
that's fine. Joe, what did you say, Joe?
I was just
couldn't hear you.
letting Taryn know, like, ahead, on M, it says educate Warren County residents, and we'll get to that, but that's a part where you could add
Yeah.
So that's where,
something,
okay.
add to that
All right,
education.
I couldn't hear what you said, so that's
No.
why I'm asking, that's all.
That's right.
Thank you, sir.
So moving on, we have, protect county wetland resources, including springs from contamination. So that's kind of, for last time we did the comprehensive plan update, we talked about, and I think you mentioned this, Scott, about maybe different grants for the wetland delineation studies or, so we have the floodplain study.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff goes through, DEQ, Virginia, I was gonna say DCR, Virginia Resource Commission, Virginia Marine Resource Commission, DEQ,
DGIF.
DCR, who else?
DGIF.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, so there's a bunch of state agencies we gotta go back to get that, if I'm not mistaken. And to get the monies to do that, so.
Might even be looking at Army Corps.
Yeah, well, that's true, it might be Stauffer, you have to go back to Stauffer.
I think with
We
the
get the core.
Greenfield.
Yeah.
or Green-
Well, we haven't,
That's a whole,
So
do
we
you
have-
get any complaints for wetland or spring contamination, or is that happening much in the county, or is it?
no. I don't
Probably
hear
not.
I'm not aware of it, so.
I'd probably say it's probably not complaints, it's more on like. as
when
an
you're
engineer, it's
developing
more
the
on my
wetland,
Development.
delineating
It's on the development
wetlands,
side.
yeah.
Not only
Once we
That's
recognize,
more about what it is.
like Leech Run Parkway,
That
when
there's
that came
wetlands,
around,
yeah.
that was
everywhere.
definitely the Corps of Engineers, it was Virginia Marine
It
Resource
fits right into
Commission,
the site.
DEQ, it was everybody. So, because Leech Run's cut across there, so you
Oh,
got,
the other thing
I had
is
to
if
put
you
that
start
in.
building bridges over Crooked Run,
right.
whether it's, Crooked Run 2 or
Right.
upstream,
Why?
you
There's
could be
all
getting
the,
something
you
like
gotta
that.
deal with all the agencies at
Yeah.
some point, so it's a big deal.
So do you wanna leave that in there?
Sure.
Okay.
I got a problem with that.
F is protect and conserve public and private forest resources to prevent soil erosion and damage to views, vistas, and watershed areas.
Well, the parks are all safe. I mean, then nobody will log them,
Yeah.
and then all the stuff like farms and stuff like
National
that.
forests,
Even
national
the
forests can be logged.
It can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even the
Well, federal
logging things have,
Yeah.
they've got a whole bunch of regulations.
Yeah, through the.
And Skyline Drive, that part
Yeah.
can't, but the National Forest is owned by the Department of Ag.
Private does too.
So they could.
They can, yes.
National Forest.
I didn't know that, I wasn't aware of that.
What they do, a lot of times they'll just like guys who are cutting firewood for themselves, you know, pull a permit, and they may not have to go through a big.
I've heard of it cutting deadwood.
Yeah, I used to have a deadwood
yeah.
permit.
I've heard that you could go in there and cut deadwood. I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
a dead tree in the National Forest, you can take down.
I never
I didn't
heard
think
of
of it that way.
Mhm, that's been going on for.
Deadwood trees,
So it's
if
deadwood.
you needed firewood, you could get permit.
Yeah, they wanted to make sure your saw had a spark arrestor on it.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're
Okay.
exactly right.
But I mean, we're talking a little
That sounds
larger
good.
scale, I think.
Yeah,
The next time I go put firewood, I'll have to do that.
yeah, I can't imagine him.
Better
going
get your
into-
permit.
Yeah, right.
Well,
Do
there's
the
Oh, my
National
God.
the
Forest.
one lot that comes to my mind is the Bowman Ayers lot, which is what, 800 acres up there by
Oh,
Fiery
right.
Run and
It's dead
past
trees
Blue
there.
Mountain and between Venus Branch, and that could feasibly be a lot that somebody might, you know, want to harvest. You know, a pretty good amount of wood from, but.
Okay.
All right,
So that sounds good, so what's
okay.
next?
G, protect the important natural function of rivers, streams, and floodplains by encouraging appropriate use and preservation of natural vegetation. A couple of, actually, probably everyone in our department have attended the river, for the Shinda, is it the Shinda River Keepers?
Yeah, the
They're,
River Keepers.
they are kind of completing a vision for the Shinda River. And they've had a bunch of different agencies involved, citizens, the localities that use the river and affects their locality, get involved. So we thought about kind of referencing, they're not done yet, but it's been some good workshops that they've put together.
Get some real good
They're really
ideas.
just kind of educating. It's a lot about education of the river.
A lot of it is mitigation, I think, for the agricultural impact also, because they're dealing with the whole watershed, you know, north and south fork, and pretty much, you know, the large poultry facilities, these kind of things. And so they're looking at that impact down to, you know, kind of more granular, you know, what can
Even
people
down
do.
to promoting tourism. So I mean,
Yeah.
they're looking at everything for their vision of the river. But they've had some good workshops. They're not that far along yet. I don't think they haven't started drafting the text yet. But,
Might be a study that we can reference, right? Is that what you're saying?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think.
Commercial farm's not too big in our county anymore, but upstream Page is.
Yeah.
Page is huge.
Yeah, Paige and
Rockingham.
Yeah.
and Shenandoah has been involved.
Yeah.
So,
Run into Augusta even.
you still get cattle in this county, and you know, so the thought might be, you know, you're adjacent to a stream that's feeding into, you know, one of these beauty manor that feeds into, I don't know, you know, build an awareness, you know, that hey, it's
Well,
going to impact.
There were grants to fence it out,
There
right?
are
I think that
still,
ran
yeah.
out, the
Yeah.
grant money.
Yeah.
No, I thought there was still. But
That's what my dad told me the grant money had run out. I don't know, maybe there's some more.
Yeah, they were fencing ponds off, keep cattle out of them.
Because
Or was a
basically,
matching grant?
there's a grant where you'd like do a well, and your cows would drink out of
Yeah.
the well instead of going into creeks. So
Yeah.
it made sense.
Better for the cattle too,
Yeah.
believe it or not.
Well, it's funny, we were driving across Lake Anna coming back from the beach, and like you see all these people in their boats and swimming at the beach, and then you see 20 cows right across there
Yeah.
swimming in the water too. And all that cold.
And without diapers, right? They would get in their diapers.
I mean, they're on the beach, all these kids playing, and all these kids swimming right across the street.
Oh, boy.
Solution to pollution is dilution.
It's diluted.
You need a lot of water.
All right.
That's diluted enough, so there we go.
So I think G sounds good.
Yeah.
H, minimize runoff and sedimentation associated with agricultural and development activities, including industrial, residential, and commercial activities, particularly in steep slope areas. And that goes through the erosion and sediment control.
Remember I said the ag is exempt,
Right,
but
but the other activities,
everybody else
industrial
is
residential.
restricted.
We get that lot setback and cut down on that impact out there.
All right.
Or maybe amend our steep slope
You
ordinance.
see how it works,
I wasn't trying to open that can of worms right now.
Well,
That's what we're gonna
He
do.
got me earlier.
Let Miss Logan go, let Miss Logan keep on rolling. Let's go.
We should increase the
Well,
setback.
we're working together here.
Front setback.
Absolutely.
Keep Miss Logan going, let's go.
I identify and protect important plant and wildlife habitats, including aquatic life. It's just a general goal.
It's-
Tying with
There's
that,
been some, yeah.
Yeah.
well,
I'm 1000%
The-
for
we're
it.
thinking the same
When
thing.
I was thinking the regional commission did the minimum midstream flow
Yeah.
study,
Yeah,
which was a good study that showed, that kind of brought in the whole drought management plan
Yeah.
for all the localities in the region. It showed when the river gets to a certain level, it affects different habitat,
Oh,
aquatic life,
and then the
so,
Smithsonian
yeah. And
conservation, you know, with their, whatever they're doing, you know.
they're
How does
doing,
that, how does that impact the county then? If
Well-
the river goes up to a certain level,
so then there's, if
Impacts
is at a certain
on
level,
us.
yeah, so
Like-
then, different
So-
drought management strategies could come into play,
Is
like,
there-
No water in the lawn, no water in
Yeah.
the car.
well, no, but that's what I'm getting at.
that happens.
How do we incorporate that through the comp plan? You know?
Well, I think we can,
From a county standpoint, is all I'm asking.
we could reference that, I think, the plan that
Is
was
there
done through the
something-
regional commission and the county's drought management.
Okay. I didn't know if there's something we
the
enact, as a
town
county,
has it
do we
as well.
enact something or make a statement somewhere on the website or, you know, that type of thing, what do we do? Is my question, I guess that's
It
my,
might be on the website.
and
Who makes that
I'm
call
a dumb
when you do
engineer,
take it
so
out
it's all,
before you grass?
you gotta take it for what it's worth.
Before you call it
So-
somewhere in a drought.
How do
You know, you
you,
hear it, but I'm just curious who,
I know that's what
I
I'm
know in
getting
the
at,
town,
you
it's
hear it,
based
but how
on
do you-
the height of the river.
Yeah,
right, so town makes that call herself?
Yeah.
I was just curious whether, I didn't know if a
Yeah, the
federal.
town,
yeah, I think
town's
it's
different, yeah.
the locality.
But how do we, as a county, do we do anything or not?
Yeah, we've never done anything.
My question.
I think, I would, so like,
Well, we have a drought management plan and it has different,
Okay.
recommendations,
That's fine.
such
No, as long as we got
as the
something.
river gets to a certain level, then you send out a
Then we do
notice,
this, yeah,
please,
yeah.
please refrain from washing
Doing-
your car at your house or
Have we ever
refrain
done
from
that?
watering your lawn. I don't know if I remember.
I know the town
The
has,
town
because
does
I've
it,
gotten
but
the
you see the
notices.
signs as you come in.
Well, you get it for electric too,
Well, the
like,
town- yeah,
Wells, so it's water
See, it's a
table.
public,
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's
And
a public
now,
supply.
who's measuring the water table?
But folks out in the county, it's more of a private supply,
Yeah, and every well's a private well.
Right,
so how do you,
yeah.
that's my question is how do you can recommend, but it doesn't, you can't enforce, I guess. Is that
Right. That's what I,
Okay,
Mhm.
that's all I'm asking, so.
but there's a whole plan for recommendations.
That's fine, no, that's fine, as long as it's out there, it's
Yeah.
good, so.
And if we reference that, then at least
Yeah.
it's in there and then
Reference it.
people are being
It's on public
notified.
record, it's on
But
public
the
record.
Smithsonian
And the
Conservation.
county's protected is what I'm asking.
Yeah, the Smithsonian Conservation Institute has met with us. They are doing a plan. They've been studying different build-out scenarios in about 15 localities. And they're looking at, they have a lot of different programs that they can do. They're looking at different conservation values of properties and which ones, have higher conservation values. They're looking at the best forestry resources. They're very into the natural resources and so they've offered to help us with this chapter as well. Maybe they will. So they have
I'm definitely gonna hear what they have to
different
say.
modeling that they
now we're
use.
doing that PDR, purchase developmental rights.
Mhm.
Talk about that since we have one of those now.
Yeah.
That was a big change we didn't have in 2013 either.
Yeah, so, I could probably invite them. It's very interesting to hear what they have to say, because they're really doing a lot of work. They're doing a lot of work with Piedmont Environmental Council as well, and several different agencies. The Shenandoah, there's an alliance.
We can do it.
Okay, coordinate environmental quality protection efforts with the establishment of public parks. natural recreation areas, and natural resource regeneration and preservation.
I think it's probably being done now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that stays.
Improve environmental quality on a site-to-site basis through the establishment of performance standards for environmentally sensitive areas, including encouraging the use of best management practices. That's what we were talking.
It's almost like some of this is all connected.
It is. I mean, it's all.
Could be combined.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It does, but
It could be weed.
I agree, but it's gotta stay, to an extent, it's gotta stay separate, you know what I mean? To a point, so. But I know what you mean, it's all.
It does. It all
everything
sounds similar.
relates.
It
Yeah, it
sounds
relates somewhere.
the same.
It does relate.
Not the
yeah.
same one it's being used.
But we gotta call it, we have to call it out as a county, we gotta call it out, so.
Educate Warren County residents about the relationship between our land use decisions and our local ecology. And we talked about adding, something about the education of alternative systems.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it sounds like a big septic one there. And it is.
No, it is. I know.
Yeah, we just kinda,
Preserve Warren County's natural beauty while making natural features accessible to county residents. I think last time we talked a lot about access to the river, public access to the river, which was in another chapter. But, and then O, continue to use green concepts in the building of county facilities to further reduce our footprint on the environment. And we talked about in our staff meeting to include the renovation of facilities and the operation of facilities green wise, and those are like the public safety buildings LEED certified.
The green concept, that could get a little hot topic now, couldn't it?
The issue with that is, and I'm for it, don't get me wrong, I'm for it, but when you do green stuff, I think, if I'm not mistaken, correct me please, but construction-wise or renovation-wise, whatever you do, because it's quote-unquote green, it costs more money to do it, because you're adding extra stuff above and beyond what a standard facility would be, and you correct me if I'm wrong, because you know.
yes and no.
You know more than I do, but all I'm saying is, when I hear green, all I hear is it's going to cost more, and I agree with the benefits of it. All I'm saying is, cost-wise, it might be a percentage higher than standard construction, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, we went through
And
this
y'all
stuff in the 70s when the
Yeah,
energy
I better
costs
say,
went
y'all-
up and all this foolishness came out.
Correct me if I'm
Sprayed in
wrong, that's all I'm
insulation
saying,
would
but-
sag down 5 years later, and
Yeah.
it was a mess.
Yeah.
So, just correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm all for it, and I'm all for
Depends on what kind of green.
promoting that.
Depends what you're going for, like LEED silver isn't that much more.
Yeah.
You go out to LEED
Yeah.
gold.
See, that's what I'm getting at. I don't know the
there.
differences. You know better than I do, so that's what
Public
I'm
safety
saying.
building's gold, right? And that costs a lot more to get
Which
that public safety building.
Yeah.
It costs a lot more to get that certification, and there's a lot more annual maintenance costs.
And that,
For
oh,
that
maintenance, I
equipment
didn't think
in
about
there.
that either. I
And
didn't
then
think
a lot of
about
the equipment just seems more sensitive.
And I'm for it and helping, I get it, so I'm for it, but I'm just saying,
So that
The
little
cost
plaque on the
associated-
wall costs
there
a
is
lot
a-
of extra money.
I was gonna say, there's a cost with it as well, that's all I'm saying, so. I'm not trying to determine anything whatsoever, I'm just saying, yeah, it's good, but
Basically,
There
I've
is a
been
fee
seeing
to go
with new
with.
building construction, most guys are going for like LEED silver.
yeah.
And that's
Is that
not that much
the
more.
middle ground?
That's kind of like,
So, quote unquote middle ground, so to speak, you know what I mean?
I guess it's, you're achieving
You're-
something, but you're not being
You're not
crazy with it.
going over the board, and the maintenance isn't hateful, and,
Yeah, and you use
You know
like a
what I
more
mean?
efficient
yeah.
HVAC system,
Okay.
that type of thing.
I figured there was a balance in there somewhere, because
Yeah.
that's the way things work, so anyways.
Then from our side of it, you basically sign that when you're clearing, you're recycling the stuff so they can be ground in the mulch.
Yeah.
Any excess dirt is going to somebody else's job and being used, you know.
Yeah, right. So-
One more thing, I did attend an interesting seminar on solar facilities, utility scale. We don't have a ton of requests locally. We really haven't.
Yeah, for Aptex, we looked at doing all of Aptex and solar. Back, 5 or 6 years ago, that's not everything requested.
We talked about a lot, Spotsylvania, they were there, speaking about, I think it's a 6,000 acre solar utility scale. And it was a lot of them, I mean, they're for really to serve the data centers. And it was really interesting. But they talked a lot about, just kind of using valuable land that wouldn't be the highest and best use of a facility such as that. Like where they could go in different localities, where would be the best place for them. It was interesting.
Our Page County rented that, they're worried about the view shed from
Yeah.
Skyline Drive. It was like 2,000 acres they wanted to, and they were worried about the view like from Stony Man and stuff. I haven't seen all those.
Yeah.
I can get that.
Yeah.
One on the
We
view
don't
shed
have an
too, which I'm
ordinance.
glad to see we're not seeing too much pressure on either,
Yeah.
windmill farms.
Yeah.
We don't have a very good area for it. There's a couple places up on the drive
Yeah.
that'll meet it. I've seen a study on that, but really, we don't.
I've been to places where they are, and it's kind of cool to look at, but every day, that'd get old.
So we have an ordinance, we don't have an ordinance for the solar.
The state.
We have
the state,
one for windmill.
Right.
Yeah, and
We
the
did do
state,
that.
the state recently passed some solar, so we have seen an uptick in residential for people, private
Yeah.
solar. Not a lot, but there is an increase in private.
It's basically by right.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
by right when it's for your own. A lot of most of it's roof mounted as well. It's not
Sure.
the ground mounted, most of it's roof
Mhm.
mounted.
I'll drive past
Solar farm in
Double
town.
The Dominion,
Oh, yeah.
Whatever that is, I
Yeah,
drive
double
past
toll
it
gate.
every day.
yeah, it's Dominion.
That double toll gate, I drive past that every stinking day going back and forth to work. And I watch those panels.
Yeah, they'll change.
In the morning, they're over here. In the afternoon, they might be over, they just go in the sun and they do their thing, so.
They're very
Clark
low.
County.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, it's
ground,
Clark
You
County.
don't notice it.
You go
but-
right by it and don't even see it.
I was gonna say, I drive by it and I don't think twice about it.
Yeah, we got one in town here too.
Yeah. So-
Yeah.
We do.
The
Mhm.
EDA has
In
some
the
nice
town.
solar
Where that-
buildings on our.
Where that Happy
solar-
Creek Road,
Yeah.
6th Street intersect.
Oh,
In
On
the
top of the
town.
building, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard about that somewhere.
Yeah, I never noticed
That
that.
natural.
they're terrible.
I think,
For a long time.
So we'll probably-
Get a solar panel, an electric car.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll probably go through,
Yeah.
do y'all have any other
Yeah.
objectives that you can think of, or any other topics there's a lot of topics. So we're gonna go through as staff and, just try to rework the wording, update some information.
Will we get to see that before?
Absolutely. So I thought next month we would look at this chapter again.
Yeah.
All right.
The
We've got
updated?
about 2 months, yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds cool. Getting ready to close up.
Review the updated. All good.
And then anything else you wanna add?
So are you saying another work session next month? Is that what you're saying?
It's a good time. We don't have a ton of
I'm getting,
applications.
I'm getting a little
I
sick.
don't mind them as long as my book doesn't come
I mean,
like that.
if we would get a lot of applications, and it would be a huge agenda.
Oh, yeah, I know, yeah.
The work sessions are pretty informative.
But I
Well,
think,
Yeah.
Speaking of that, next month looking pretty clean, like this
yeah, I don't
past
think
meeting.
we're
I mean,
gonna
come on.
have,
We didn't
We didn't
pass anything for
I know,
that
we didn't
public
do-
hearing.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it would be
No
authorization advertised, but I
I
don't
hate
know.
to say it, but we didn't
Advertising.
do, we didn't do squat this month, so anyway. We held a public hearing about it, come on. So,
That's why I think it's a
and
good time.
I'm not trying to downplay it, all I'm saying
yeah.
is next month's looking pretty clean right now, so that we can roll right into this.
Shelters.
Well, you gotta give
Unless
us
I bring
time
up the
to.
site plan.
You have an intern, you have an extra person.
Yeah, we got people.
Here you go, Evan.
Tell him to pick a chapter he wants to
Here,
work
Along
on.
with everything else.
For these people that work over here, come
He
on.
actually has a list of tasks on it.
It's open-ended though, isn't it?
You'll be gone next month.
I know.
Not next
You
year.
will.
So excited.
He'll be out of there here, but
We don't want
Really glad I
to.
didn't call them.
Lot of that. We'd like to see them.
We like them, yeah, come back.
Come back.
All righty, anybody have anything else? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Take a motion to adjourn.
I'll take 20 motions to adjourn.
Thank you all, though. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Luck, thank you.
Will the next one be after a regular meeting? That kind of.
Hold on, I ain't
Does
done
that
yet.
work okay?
Yeah,
I haven't worked with the
Hold on.
Okay.
I ain't done yet.
Fries, rice.
I gotta say thank you to the staff and everybody else, thank you for your input, you know,
Well, I'll make nachos.
Thank you all very much.
But I got peppers on them.
It's on the record,
All right.
Okay.
somewhere.
Okay.
Cindy's on the record.
Cindy.
Thank you to the staff, but anybody have anything else?
Motion to adjourn on
Motion
the
to
table.
adjourn, I'll take a second. Second, all say, we are done, thank you.